think we talked about this in the agriculture unit, but dosage matters. That's why we say that everything is poisonous, but nothing is poisonous. There's like a certain amount that matters and a certain amount that does not matter. There's like a few different parts of this assignment that relate to this lecture about dosage and stuff, the dosage response curve, and then some terminology, LD50, ED50, and TD50. Um, I don't know why the College Board is so obsessed with this topic, but they really are. Lethal dose 50 is on every single exam, and I'm a little bit frustrated by that because I've done a lot of science work and nobody ever talks about this except for the College Board. But anyway, okay. The most famous story. Some radio station somewhere, I think it was like Fresno or like middle of California, some radio station had a contest. It was a few years ago now, where they offered the winner a Nintendo Wii, which was like the hottest toy of the holidays, if they would come to the radio station and go on the air and throughout the course of like a Sunday, they would have to drink water and not go to the bathroom, not pee. They called it Hold Your Wii, as in urine, for a Wii, as in the Nintendo wireless system. And there was like a bunch of like beefcake college kids that were like, yeah, I want a Wii. And there was like a bunch of random whatever game nerds and stuff. And there was this lady who was like really soft spoken. And she was like, I can't remember if she was trying to win it for her husband or for her child. But I remember during the interview, she was really sweet. She was saying like, we don't have a lot of money and it's been a tough year, and, our family's growing. And so we're just focused on, paying our bills and trying not to get into debt. So there was no other way that I could, give my, can't remember, my husband, my kid. There was no other way I could give them this Christmas present, but I am determined. I didn't drink any water yesterday. I'm ready to go. I'm super dehydrated, so I won't have to go to the bathroom. And I'm going to do this. And so, like, they interview all the contestants at like the 8 a.m. beginning of the weekend radio show. And, they start drinking like half gallon per hour. God, I don't remember how much they drink. A couple of cups, and like, oh, we'll be back in radio and see if anybody's gone to the bathroom. And like, they would like play a song and they'd come back and be like, oh, Jose wet his pants. All right. So Jose lost. And like, by like 1 or 2 or 3 in the afternoon, there was 2 contestants left. There was like one homie and the lady. And the lady like broke down. She's like, oh God, I can't. I gotta go. And she like just walked out of the radio station. She like went to the bathroom, went home, and she died later that day. Like, she went home and she died. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, she actually went home, went to work, and died at work. I can't remember if she died at work or if she went home and died getting ready for work, but like, radio station got sued, rightfully so, because they trivialized their contestants' health. Jose, why the hell are you telling me this? Because even water will kill you, kids. Anything is toxic if you have too much of it. And there's like nothing that is so toxic that a little bit would be bad. The most harmful thing on Earth is lethal at 4 parts per billion. That's a really low concentration. That's like 1/1,000,000% or something. Whatever. Anyway, dioxin, will kill you at 4 parts per billion. But, you know, if you have a millionth of that, you'll be fine. Right? Like, dosage matters. By the way, if you ever want to read about this poor woman, it's the most amazing story. I don't know if this lecture is going to go into day 39 or into day 40, but either way, I'll try to leave the link to that story in the slide deck for day 39. Here's the thing. How do you find the right dosage? You might remember we did like a salinization experiment. And when we did the salinization experiment, there was like percent salt. Sorry, I'm going to change colors. There was percent salt, right? And when I did this, I had germination. So it was like survivorship, and then it started to go down, right? But in this case, I actually had seed death. So the curve would look like none of them died, none of them died, maybe 10% died, maybe like 30% died, maybe like 60% died. Around here, we were getting close to 100% death. Okay, so you might remember we had a curve kind of like this. I don't really care how precise that curve is. But that told us, right, like where the tipping point was. Now, there's this idea called the threshold effect. I'm sorry, that should be underlined. Which says no effect, no effect, no effect, no effect. At this point, you start to have an effect. So this is the threshold for effectiveness, right? And this is true for Tylenol. Like, there's a certain amount you need to start having the desired outcome. This is true for like alcohol or whatever. Threshold effect, that a certain dosage, you start to have an outcome. And this could be a good thing, like, oh, the Tylenol's taking away my ankle pain, or it could be a bad thing, like, ooh, I'm starting to lose consciousness. Funny thing is, different people are different, right? Like, if I wanted to find out how much bleach it takes to kill a high school student, I could give everybody small doses, and then the first kid to die is probably the wimpiest kid, right? At least in terms of bleach. So we kind of got to figure out, like, what's the dosage that on average makes sense? We're looking for that middle of the road, not like the first little wimps and not like those freaks of nature that can go super big. I just want to know, like, what's the actual average? And that's what these terms refer to. Like, if you're looking for effectiveness, what is the dose that works for the average person? You know, you found the average person when 50% of the individuals have now said it's effective for the effective dose, right? Like Tylenol, 200 milligrams. That's how we know that Tylenol effective dose is 200 milligrams. Some people like me, I gotta take 4. I'm just, I don't feel, I don't know, it doesn't work for me. I'm not sensitive to that. Some people, you know, my wife, she's like, oh, dude, that's just too much for me. I can just take half, and she feels great. I'm like, whatever, all right. So my wife might be down here very sensitive. I might be up there kind of like wildebeest. But the average is the effective dose, 50% of the population. Now, what happens if you keep going, right? If this was like 50 and this was 100 and this was 200 milligrams and this was 300, this was 400. If you keep going, you might actually start to have like a toxic effect, like starting to not feel good, or even worse, you could have a lethal effect. So you would have like toxic to 50% of the population, like starting to have heart problems or whatever, or even lethal to 50% of the population. That's what these mean. Effective dose to 50%, toxic dose to 50%, lethal dose to 50% of the test population. The College Board always trips you up on this, so I'll just tell you now. They usually do this with rats or like subject animals, test animals, rabbits or something. I'm not saying that I like animal testing, love it or hate it. That's how the terminology works. Then once you know what the dosage is as a percentage of that body, you calculate the dosage for a bigger body. So if it's like a gram per pound in a rabbit, then I would need 200 grams because I'm a 200-pound human. So yeah, the famous example that we're supposed to do, what the College Board tells us we're supposed to do, is we're supposed to order a 5-gallon bucket of brine shrimp, and we're supposed to put them in jars and see how much bleach it takes to kill them. Like, what's the lethal dose for 50%? And I don't know, like, I'm not sure that brine shrimp have feelings. It just seems kind of crazy to, like, go to the trouble of making all this life just to have a day when we kill them and flush them down the drain. So that's a lab I have never done at the high school, but anyway, we just talked about it. All right. Lethal dose 50, toxic dose, effective dose 50%, test population 50% because that shows you where the average is. You rule out the ones that are stronger, you rule out the ones that are weaker, and the 50 is the average. Yeah.